في حلقة جديدة من برنامج لقاء اليوم. ضيف هذه الحلقة وزير الخارجية الباكستاني بلال بوتو زرداري.
Very happy to have you with us, Your Excellency.
Thank you for having me.
أنتم الآن في حكومة جديدة.
You are now in a new government coalition, which is new, and this government is built up by different political parties, religious parties, that built its popularity through criticizing each other over years. How did you get together to agree to build this government?
Well, we're definitely a unity government, a coalition government that represents various areas of the country. We have different geographic locations, different languages, different ethnicities, and we're in the true sense a unity government representing all four corners of Pakistan. But before us also the government was a coalition government made up of one party and a whole lot of other parties that in the past used to criticize each other. I think it's important for political parties in all countries, while maintaining their criticism and their own point of view, their own ideology, to focus more on what they have in common, what unites them, rather than on what divides them, and to all work together to try and find solutions to the problems facing their people, facing their country. And inshallah ta'ala, this is our motivation, and hopefully we will be successful in our mission.
This unity government, do you think it has a future that you can go to election together?
Absolutely. In the sense that from my party's perspective, I represent the Pakistan People's Party, which is the second largest party in the current unity government. And we would certainly consider doing seat-to-seat adjustments with other like-minded parties when the general elections are held.
You inherited from the previous government, a lot of tension, a lot of accusations against the U.S., and you are accused that you've been, collaborating with the U.S. What do you make out of that?
So as far as the previous government is concerned, we did, as you say, inherit a lot from them. We inherited a divided country, an economy on the brink of default, a foreign policy that left us isolated at a distance from old friends and new friends, problems internally and externally. But again, in order to meet these challenges, I think it's important for the whole country to come together and play their part and their role in taking Pakistan out of the difficult economic times that we find ourselves in. These are once in a lifetime, once in a generation challenges. And no one political party, no one individual will be able to address all these issues on their own. As far as the accusations about an American conspiracy, I think that these are fringe conspiracy theories that have no place in the mainstream, not in the mainstream media, nor in mainstream politics. This accusation holds as much weight as did the accusation that the former President Barack Obama was secretly a Muslim, or that various conspiracy theories that make the rounds on the internet. But what is our responsibility as political parties and as representatives of authority within Pakistan to speak truth to our people and not come up with such conspiracy theories that our opposition have been accusing us of in the past, and we now welcome their decision to tone down this sort of criticism and move back from this position.
Imran Khan said that he received an official letter from Pakistan's ambassador in Washington telling him details about this conspiracy.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. If I was planning a conspiracy against another country, the first thing I would do would be to write a letter and explain to them that, Mr. Prime Minister, on this date, I will be launching a conspiracy against you. I hope you don't mind. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works. Those aren't the facts. The former Prime Minister, unfortunately, is taking part in a new form of politics that we have seen manifest all over the world, one that believes in populism over rationalism, one that believes in post-facts and post-facts politics. And I don't believe that this this discussion does have place on social media and on the fringes. It is not something that should consume such a large part of our discourse.
So you say that this is fabricated. Don't you think that there is a bit of reality in that? Pakistan, at the time of Imran Khan, refused to grant the US a military base, and he thinks that this is the main part of this
That
conspiracy.
too is fiction. Mr. Khan never refused, nor did the Americans ask of him for the use of any additional military bases. An interviewer in the United States asked him a question to which he said no. And he presents that as him rejecting a United States demand for a base. The facts don't hold out. Just like as far as the American conspiracy theory that we have spent much of this show discussing has proven to be false because it doesn't correlate with the facts of the matter. The facts are that I, as chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, ever since we were in opposition to Mr. Khan, had advocated for publicly, privately, amongst our political allies, for a vote of no confidence against Mr. Imran Khan. I was challenged by our allies during the Senate elections to prove that this could happen by having a senator elected from our National Assembly that requires a similar amount of votes. And our former Prime Minister, Mr. Yusuf Raza Gilani, succeeded in that election a year earlier to when we ultimately successfully removed Mr. Khan through a no-confidence motion by reproducing the same number of votes that we had used to a year earlier have our former Prime Minister elected to the Senate from the same electoral constituency. The Americans have no role in this process. It is an important moment in Pakistan's democratic transition because it is the first time in our history when a Prime Minister has not been removed by a coup or by a court order, but for the first time a democratic constitutional vote of no confidence was successful. That is exactly the sort of democratic progress that we should be supporting, encouraging, rather than spreading fictional conspiracy theories. But of course, you understand, it's not as popular or fashionable to say that I risked Pakistan defaulting and therefore and ruined the political environment, lost my allies, and lost a vote of no confidence to my political opponents. It's far more fashionable and popular to say on social media and to spread propaganda that not my political opponents, but the White House and the President of the United States secretly conspired to remove me.
We'll go back to the aspect of the US later on. Can you accept Imran Khan's demand calling for early elections as part of this democratic system in Pakistan?
I don't see how early elections actually further democracy in Pakistan. They certainly further Mr. Khan's political agenda. When I was in opposition and demanding early elections, Mr. Khan didn't agree. In fact, before bringing the vote of no confidence, I led a campaign across the country where I demanded from Mr. Imran that he should, before I bring the vote of no confidence, dissolve his assembly and call for early elections. Otherwise, I'm coming with a vote of no confidence and will remove him through the democratic process. Pakistan, a significant democratic achievement for Pakistan from 2007 up until 2022 is that for the first time, every single parliament during that phase completed their 5-year term. I think that's incredibly important for parliamentary democracy to strengthen, that parliament complete their 5-year term until and unless there's some sort of emergency, extraordinary situation where that is not justified. I don't see that environment within Pakistan where we should undermine our long-term democratic achievement, which has been the successful completion of 3 or 4 parliaments now for their full 5-year term, just because Mr. Khan is upset that for 6 months he hasn't been my country's prime minister.
We'll go now to the foreign policy. There is a big polarization in the world, the US, China, and you have a big economic relations with China. This polarization is leading to a lot of escalation. It takes different dimensions. So you're going to side with which party in this polarization?
Oh, I hope not to have to side with anyone. I think this is an incredibly unfortunate direction of not only increased polarization in domestically within countries, but an increased polarization in international affairs. I believe that the solution of not only domestic problems is unity and to work together to find common ground, but even internationally in foreign policy, multilateralism. In order to be successful, we have to focus on what we do agree upon and what we can achieve. And when major powers such as the US and China work together, then I believe that we can achieve far more than we can when the world is divided. As far as this topic is concerned, I believe that there has been much progress, for example.
Sorry to interrupt you there. How will you achieve that? Today, many countries cannot strike the balance between the US and China.
I understand that it's very difficult for some countries, but Pakistan has had a long-standing relationship, not only with our neighbor and all-weather strategic partner in the form of China, but we have a very strong and old historic relationship with the United States. We have deep economic ties with the United States and with China, and it is to the benefit of the people of Pakistan, and I believe it is to the benefit of the people of America and to the people of China, that we find ways to get along rather than find reasons not to get along. And as far as this topic is concerned, I believe that the meeting between the President of China and the President of the United States provided a lot of hope for people like me who would like to see a world where great powers work together. We are facing existential threats to mankind. We saw once in a 100-year global pandemic. Climate change is devastating my country and the planet at large. And these are not problems that we can solve on our own. These are problems we can only solve if we work together.
While talking about challenges, you are facing a lot of challenges. So when we speak about India, you have the challenge of Kashmir. Here, how can you manage this issue, which is very complicated and it led to 2 out of 3 wars that Pakistan had?
As far as the challenge of Kashmir, I don't face the challenge of Kashmir. The people of Kashmir face the challenge of Kashmir. The challenge of Kashmir is a challenge not only to me, but to all of the Muslim world. The cause of Palestine and the cause of the people of Kashmir, the unfinished agenda of the international community of mankind, of humankind, and we owe it to them that we deliver a solution to these crises. As far as the situation in Kashmir is concerned, I'm sorry to report to you that unfortunately, ever since the election of the Hindu supremacist Modi government within India, we've seen less and less space for Muslims within India, be it in the occupied territories of Kashmir, or it is in the rest of India, where Muslims, literally the largest minority population in the world anywhere, are the Muslims in India, who face extreme persecution under an incredibly hostile Hindu supremacist regime. And what that has meant for Kashmir has meant that India in 2019 unilaterally undermined their United Nations disputed status. They violated UN Security Council resolutions and international law. Very recently, one of their military officers were speaking very bombastically about how they wanted to occupy the rest of Kashmir as well. I believe that those aren't positive signs for Kashmir.
Allow me to, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif is described to have good relation with Modi. Can he change the situation on the ground?
I don't know what context the Prime Minister's, but Prime Minister doesn't have good relations with anyone. The state of Pakistan has relations with the government and the people. And Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif,
Imran Khan say that they are good friends to Modi.
Yes, but as we've established already, most of what Imran Khan says is not true. As far as the Prime Minister is concerned, he has no personal relationship with Mr. Modi. He has, as Prime Minister, unlike Mr. Khan, not had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Prime Minister Modi. I don't think it's healthy to go down this path. What I'm trying to emphasize is whether the Prime Minister of Pakistan is Mr. Imran Khan, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, or whoever will be the Prime Minister in the future. We all want peaceful relations with our neighbors. I believe that the people of Pakistan and the people of India want to be able to live in peace amongst themselves as good neighbors. In order to do that, we have to respect international law, UN conventions, address the issue of terrorism and extremism. And I believe that is an agenda that we are committed to and that we hope to be able to fulfill. As far as the August 2019 situation in Kashmir is concerned, I believe that if India were to return to what international law says and what international law requires, we will be able to move beyond that incident.
Another challenge, the challenge of terrorism. Your mother was killed in a terrorist attack, and you accused Taliban to perpetrate that. Taliban Afghanistan is mediating in your relation with Taliban Pakistan, but the recent ceasefire failed, and you accuse Taliban Afghanistan of harboring Taliban Pakistan. How do you see this relationship?
I think as it comes across in your question, this is a very complicated topic and a very complicated issue. But it is also a reality for us in Pakistan. Unlike other countries, we can't just pick up and leave and pretend a reality doesn't exist. So Afghanistan is in our neighborhood. They are our neighbors. We have hundreds of years of traditions and history and cultural and religious association between the people of Pakistan and the people of Afghanistan. As far as whether it's the interim government in Afghanistan, we are engaging with them as a result of our foreign policy, as a result of our of the reality of our neighborhood, in the interest of our region and our own country. As far as the TTP is concerned, absolutely, they have been involved in heinous terrorist attacks in the past. Unfortunately, terrorist attacks are also still ongoing, and we expect to work with our neighbors in Afghanistan and the interim authorities there to address the challenges posed by the terrorist organization.
Also, in the same context, there was a question throughout all these years you couldn't arrest those who perpetrated the crime of killing Benazir Bhutto. Why?
First of all, as far as those involved in the assassination of Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, obviously the physical terrorists or suicide bombers that were involved in the attack, because it was a suicide attack, died on the scene. The complicity of the dictator of the time meant that he hosed down the crime scene and made it very difficult for the forensic and all the other investigations that did happen after this. There was a UN investigation and other inquiries that have left a lot of questions that still need to be answered. While all of this was ongoing, Bayatullah Masood of the TTP, who was linked in the attack or sort of leadership level, was assassinated, killed himself in an attack. But as far as I'm concerned, for me, I believe justice is for the system within Pakistan to be able to give justice, for the courts within Pakistan to be able to convict those associated or involved, and not just for my mother, but for every Pakistani. We want to see our institutions strong enough to deliver justice, not only to a former prime minister, but to average Pakistani.
I want to conclude with a question regarding your question to your visit to Doha. You have good relations with Qatar, a lot of investments in the field of energy. You are here and your visit coincides with the World Cup. What do you think about the organization and this event in general?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to the Foreign Minister for inviting me to attend this fantastic event. I think every Muslim across the world is proud of the people of Qatar and the government of Qatar for hosting the World Cup. I think it's a moment of pride for all of us to be able to experience this. And I think it's had a fantastic impact, obviously for the people of Qatar and for your own economy, but to drive reform internally, externally, the position that we have achieved as a result. I found it a fantastic experience.
Thank you so much for joining us live here in the studio, Mr. Minister. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.